Today, we become legends.
Patch 9.5 was one of, if not the most infamous patch in Smite history, where tankiness was increased across the board for all characters, and the power on many items was nerfed to reduce the lethality in the game and lengthen the time to kill. Many in the community claim this patch was the start of Smite's Dark Ages, as it made the game unfun and reduced the reward for playing aggressively. As a result, the team at Hi-Rez are completely reverting the changes made in this 2-year-old patch to bring back that exciting kill potential to the game. But what will the ramifications of such a major sweeping change be? Who will benefit, and will it be exactly like pre-9.5 Smite? Let's talk. So the core changes being reverted here are the 40% base and 5% per level health increase, the 40% base and 8% per level physical protection increase, and the 28% base and 28% per level magical protection increase. An immediate effect of reverting these changes will be that squishy gods become a lot squishier. Due to how protections in Smite work, the more of them you have, the less efficient each protection point is, and so a squishy damage dealer with 60 procs losing 10 of them makes a much larger difference than a tank with 300 procs losing 10 of them. This is why flat penetration is so extremely important in dealing with squishies and why it's almost always rushed for mid and junglers. This should in theory be an overall buff for tanks, as they will be doing noticeably more damage to squishies than they were before. This won't be entirely back to how it was pre 9.5, as there are still some major sweeping game changes that are not being reverted, such as power and protection bruiser items still being gone from the game, and the patch 10.6 stat squish that reduced all power on items by 30% and all health and protections on items by 15%. Tanks definitely benefited from the 10.6 changes more than squishies did, and those will still be in the game. Hey, quick shout out to my Nexus store where there's a gem sale going on right now, up to 33% off all gem packs. If you're looking to pick up some new skins that drop in 11.6, then I really appreciate any of you who pick up your gems at nexus.gg/intersect. It comes at no extra cost to you, but you help to support the channel and the content I make. Cheers. But while the base protections reduction will nerf squishies more than tanks, the base health reduction will actually nerf tanks more than squishies, since if you have more overall protections, each point of health is more valuable to you. This is a concept called effective health, and to not go too in depth on it, if you have 100 protections, you take half damage, so if you gain 100 health, you actually gain 200 effective health, as in it would take 200 more damage to kill you. However, if you have 300 protections, you take 1/4 damage, so if you gain that same 100 health, you gain 400 effective health. This means that base health nerfs will disproportionately nerf the tankiness of tanks in the 9.5 revert compared to squishies, even more so because a larger portion of your total health comes from base compared to protections, which comes largely from items. So the general impact of this will mean that tanks will be disproportionately less tanky but more lethal in the new post-revert environment. For solo lane specifically, this means kill potential will be dramatically higher in the early game, due to the base health and protections being nerfed much harder than the per level components. This will have the most impact in the very early levels and will make all roles more lethal early on, but especially so in solo lane. As mentioned, we aren't completely reverting to a pre-9.5 environment, and the removal of bruiser items and the 10.6 changes will make it so we're in a bit of a middle ground between pre-9.5 and present day Smite in terms of lethality, at least in the early game. It's not just god changes though. 9.5 also dramatically increased a lot of minion, jungle camp and structure health pools as well as protections, which made the game slower in general. Farming was slower, which meant less time to make aggressive plays and slowed down the early game substantially, which should in theory allow the 9.5 revert to return to a faster paced early game that will snowball a lot faster than modern Smite does post 9.5. Towers were also giga buffed in this update to be tankier and deal more damage, and also have 30% pen on all their attacks, which led to the team with a lead struggling to actually siege, and tower camping in lane and or phoenix camping late game became insanely good. Some changes were made to address this post 9.5, like making fire giant buffs stronger, that won't be reverted, so I would expect that tower camping is going to be dramatically less safe in a post revert environment. All these factors combined will mean the game is overall much more lethal, much more explosive, much more snowbally, and much more punishing than it has been in the last few years of Smite. We likely won't be completely back to a pre-9.5 style, because 10.6 still had a big impact in a similar way by nerfing power more than it nerfed health and protections on items, and that's still going to be in the game even after this patch, but it should be exciting for the early game to finally matter again, and this change might bring back a more competitive atmosphere to the game. But what do you think of the 9.5 revert? Are you a fan and think it will bring us back to the glory days, or do you think the game will just be getting one shot and snowballed on into a just frame F6 at 10? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.